I want to welcome everybody to this demonstration. NAZIYAH, all eyes on King getting out of jail. The red Jaguar. Salute to the chat. Salute to all my moderators. Salute to the replay gang. Now, there's talk that King is going to be released from jail. He may have already been released, or he may be getting released in minutes or hours. Many people are under the impression that King gave up some information in the NAZIYAH case that freed him. Now, King, for me, King has always been suspect. And I'm going to tell y'all why King has always been suspect for me. Because King should have stepped in and checked the situation with Jarvis and NAZIYAH and those other little girls coming up to the shop, right? Now, King was a business partner of Jarvis. King said on that day of January the 9th, that evening of January the 9th, right? Him and Jarvis, when they got back to the shop, him and Jarvis counted up the money. They split the money. So he definitely is in with Jarvis, whereas though he could have checked Jarvis. His testimony, and we're going to backtrack King's testimony, his testimony that at the shop, at the other shop, I believe that was Frank's, the girls, those little teenage girls was coming up at the shop working. He also stated at the shop, that new shop that him and Jarvis had, those girls was coming up working. Why you ain't stop it, King? Off the rip. Even if you didn't know anything about the inappropriate touching that Jarvis was doing, you still allowed little girls. They were little girls, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, coming up to your shop working. That's a no-no. You should have stopped that immediately. No, hey, Jarvis, we can't have this. We can't have these little girls coming up this shop working. So what's King's involvement? Many people to this day believe that King helped Jarvis hide NAZIYAH's body. What is my opinion on King's involvement? I still stand on my opinion from months ago. I believe that King participated in inappropriate touching of NAZIYAH. First of all, what man would allow another man to take advantage of these little girls? Let's backtrack King's testimony. But before we get into King's testimony, Roxy posted a picture. She posted a picture of the red Jaguar, right? And remember, it was a red Jaguar that King and Jarvis was working on. It was the Jaguar of King's son grandmother. They was working on a red Jaguar, and that red Jaguar possibly could have been the last vehicle that NAZIYAH rode in. Let me show you all. Give me 1 second. I'm coming, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right. This is fresh off of Roxy. She posted this, as you can see. Now, in this capture, it was posted on January the 9th, 2024. Right? And as you can see, Cordell Wright is at Connor and Harper. And this is Cordell Wright saying, "We fix it all." It says, "This is the vehicle NAZIYAH was picked up in with Jarvis and Cordell on the day she went missing on January the 9th, 2024. And I do believe, and you all could correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that the aunt of King's son stated that the Jaguar was towed. The Jaguar had got towed to King and them. And as you can see, the Jaguar is on the tow truck's bed. Now, how do y'all look at this? Let me know, because that date is January the 9th, 2024. Do they take pictures of all the vehicles that come in? What stood out? Why was this picture taken and put up? It might be a far reach, or it might be something to make us say, I'm wondering. But this is
with
what
Jarvis and
Roxy said.
Cordell. Now, I told y'all prepare to be sick of me. This is the red Jaguar that NAZIYAH was last seen driving in with Jarvis and Cordell. Now, I told y'all prepare to be sick of me. This is the red Jaguar that NAZIYAH was last seen driving in with Jarvis and Cordell.
And if you notice, Roxy, she put emphasis on it. This is the last vehicle. This is the vehicle that NAZIYAH was last in with Jarvis and Cordell. You know, she stressed that as far as calling out Cordell. All right. Now we're going to go to King's testimony, and we're going to do some more dissecting. It seems like no matter how many times we backtrack things, we always find something new. We always find something interesting. But that is a picture of the red Jaguar that you'll hear King mention in his testimony. Once again, word around town is that King is going to be released. He could be released at any time. Don't know. But let's backtrack King's testimony.
that K-I-N-G?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. How old are you?
37.
When's your birthday?
11/17.
What year?
86.
And Mr. Wright, back in January 2024, were you on an MDOC tether?
Yes, I was.
And what dates were you on tether from?
From March 14th, 23 to March 28th of 24.
Now, let me just slide in, okay? Now, it could be a possibility that he violated whatever charge that he was on, or whatever he could have violated, and it don't necessarily mean. And what I'm not going to do is I will reach, but I'm not going to reach too far out there. You know, just because he just got released, that doesn't necessarily mean he gave up some information. But I will entertain any of you guys' thoughts on that. But I don't think that that's why King was released. I think King was probably released because he served whatever time from a previous case. And that could just be my opinion. My opinion don't necessarily mean that that's true. Let me jump to the chat. Appreciate your super sticker, Charlotte's Web. Appreciate your super sticker. We do have a goal that we're trying to reach on this demonstration, and that goal is 15 super stickers or super chats. So if you would like to help me reach my goal today of 15 super stickers and super chats, I would appreciate it. Also, memberships as well. Give me a minute to drop the memberships. I'll get back to King. Moderators, make sure y'all dropping my membership link in the chat.
And what were your other restrictions back then?
I could leave the house from 6 in the morning. I had to be back in by 9 p.m.
Mr. Wright, do you know someone named Jarvis Butts?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Jarvis Butts?
I first met him. We worked together at a shop called Frank's, and then we owned the shop together.
And do you see Jarvis Butts in the courtroom today?
No.
Yeah.
Once again, see, for me, this what I have a problem with. This is what I have a problem with. Now, he stood up, you know, he looked around, just like Annette, and they claimed that they didn't see Jarvis. That's bullshit, King. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? Now, as I stated earlier in this demonstration, my issue with King is that he allowed Jarvis to have those little girls up at that shop working. Even if you didn't know anything about the inappropriate touchings that King was doing, that Jarvis was doing, you allowed Jarvis to have them little girls up at that shop working. Appreciate your super chat, Mika. Mika says, support here from South Carolina. Shout out to all my people down there in South Carolina. I used to live in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Appreciate that, Mika. Appreciate the memberships, Charlotte. But that's my issue with King. Yo, you stood back and you allowed Jarvis to have them little girls working up at that shop, and you didn't stop it.
Would you be able to stand up so you can look around?
Yes. No.
When did you meet Mr. Butts?
2018.
And you said you two worked together initially at a place called Frank's.
Frank's.
Where's Frank's at?
He has a couple locations. He has 7, but the one I met him at was on Warren and Neff.
Okay. And what locations of Frank's did you work at with Mr. Butts?
Warren and Neff.
Shout out to all my people in Charlotte, North Carolina. Appreciate you, Charlotte's way.
And Mr. Wright, I'm approaching people's proposed exhibits 4, 5, and 6. Can you look at these and tell me if you recognize those?
I recognize this one, and this one.
And those are those a fair and accurate depiction of the Frank's Auto Shops? At least 2 of them on Warren and the other one maybe on Harper?
Yes.
Okay, which is the one that's on Harper?
The last one on the inside.
Okay, and that's People's Exhibit, proposed exhibit 6?
Yes.
Okay, you're not moving the admission of People's 4, 5, and 6?
The objection. No objection here. They'll be admitted as People's Exhibits 4, 5, and 6.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate that super sticker, Candy.
How long did you work at Frank's with Mr. Buck?
A few years.
About how many years would you estimate?
2.
Once again, you've been around Jarvis minimum of 2 years. You've been around Jarvis, right? You know what's on Jarvis's report card, right? It's nowhere in the world that you're going to convince me that you didn't know Jarvis's get down. Appreciate that super chat, Tanya. Thank you, Shank, for all you do. Appreciate your super chat, Tanya. Thank you for being a supporter of the channel, Tanya.
And when did that change from Frank's to another shop?
Maybe in 23 sometime.
Okay. Would it be earlier in the year or later in the year?
Maybe maybe in May. Well, maybe April, May.
And then where did you guys work then?
We got a shop together on 9,000 Connor.
And what is at 9,000 Connor?
A sicko, a car wash, and our shop was in the middle of both.
You know, may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Gregg, I'm handing you with marker people's proposed exhibits 7 and 8. Can you look at those and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes, I recognize.
Okay. And are those a fair and accurate depiction of your shop at 9,000 Connor?
Yes, it is.
And are not with the admission of people's proposed exhibits 7 and 8?
The objection. No objection. They'll be admitted as People's Exhibits 7 and 8.
Thank you, Deputy. Who was it that you mainly worked with at 9,000 Connor?
I'm sorry,
Who was it that you worked with at 9,000 Connor?
Jarvis.
I want to take you back to when you were working at Frank's with Mr. Butts. Did you ever see Mr. Butts with any children there?
Yes,
And specifically, did you see him with any young girl children?
yes,
And did you know who those were?
yes.
Who were they?
His daughter, his niece.
Daughters and niece. What about any?
Once again, y'all, and I always stated, remember when King says, when they seen NAZIYAH on that day, January the 9th, he said that Jarvis said, there go my niece. But he had already seen NAZIYAH, according to him, she was already coming up at the shop. So he had already knew NAZIYAH. Why not, when Jarvis seen NAZIYAH, there go NAZIYAH? Or why not even say anything? Because I'm sure if Jarvis saw NAZIYAH, King, I'm sure you saw her too. I mean, come on with the bullshit is where I'm going at with this. You, just like Jarvis's sister, y'all knew who NAZIYAH was on January the 9th. Y'all knew who she was. So we're not going to sit up here and try to make it seem like King and Jarvis's sister did not know who NAZIYAH was on January the 9th. I ain't buying it.
Boys.
Yes.
Okay. And who were they?
His sons.
How often would you see him with children there at Frank's?
Sporadically.
And at 9,000 Connor, did you see Mr. Buck with any children then?
Yes.
Any girls?
Yes.
And who would they be?
His daughter.
And what about any boys?
Yes.
Who would they be?
His sons.
And how often would you see him with children at 9,000 Connor?
Sporadic.
And as it relates to this case, it's fair to say that you spoke with Detroit police a few times?
Yes, about 4.
About 4 times? Okay. That first time that you talked to Detroit police, do you recall about when that was?
The first time was the day before Valentine's Day, so like February 13th.
February 13th, and is that of 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's stay right here with King for a minute, and I will entertain the chat. All right. Now, King did speak with law enforcement. He spoke with the detectives, right? Do y'all feel as though if they had anything on King, by now they would have brought charges against King? What are y'all thoughts? Because where we're at in this case, me and all of the other content creators and all of the subscribers, we've been taking a deep, deep dive. And I do believe that myself, along with the other content creators and their platforms, a lot of facts we have uncovered. So let's take a deep dive in this demonstration. And everybody on the replay gang, make sure y'all are weighing in on this. Let's use this demonstration to rule out whether or not King had something to do with NAZIYAH's disappearance, possible unaliving, or do y'all believe that King is innocent? Make sure on the replay gang, y'all weigh in on this. Candy says, King, even if he didn't know Jarvis was a monster, you had to know something was a little off. That's what I said. So you didn't meet anyone in prison or the halfway house that knew Jarvis charges. I'm calling BS. That's what I said, Candy. I've said the same thing. Lisa says, no, same as Shannon. Starsha says, because it's a foreign car. Antoinette says, Cordell has been snitching for DPD. Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if y'all agree with Antoinette. Drop a 2 if you disagree. What are y'all thoughts? Because see, for me, I believe that if King dropped the dime, if King told and gave up vital information, I do believe that others would be arrested. Because I don't believe that Jarvis was in on it by himself, even if Jarvis unalived her. So I just think that if King would have given up any information, more would have been in handcuffs. Leo Queen dropped the 1. I see you, Detroit Finest. Appreciate you for pulling up, Detroit's Finest. Jacqueline dropped the 1. Candy dropped the 1. Antoinette dropped the 1. I'll come back to the chat. Salute, Leslie. I see you. Salute, Miss Minnie. Appreciate everybody for pulling up. And I know I don't get around to saluting everybody in the chat. I know I don't get around to reading everybody's comments and questions. Mika says, I believe King told some info. They will eventually make more arrests sooner than later. Shauna dropped the 1. Nita says, is King dropping gems and now getting out early because of it? I'm just asking. That's what we're going over in this demonstration, Nita. I don't know. My opinion, I think that King got released or is getting ready to be released. I think because of whatever charge, whatever sent King back to jail, I think that he's finished doing that time on whatever it is that sent him back to jail. So I don't believe that King gave up any info. However, let's tap into it. Let's tap into it. And I will, if you've heard any information from another content creator, and if another content creator has broken down King giving up some information, I will allow y'all to discuss that over here. I don't got no problem with that, because I just want to get to the bottom line of King's involvement, and I want to get to the bottom line of why King was released. So if y'all have gotten any information from another platform, that's fine if y'all want to chop it up over here about that. But I just think King is released on, he finished the sentence on whatever it is that sent him. Charlotte's Webb says, I don't believe he had anything to do with the unaliving because he was wearing an ankle monitor, but he knew he was a monster. Too many people talk in the hood. Exactly. I'm with you. Joe Clark, how did they find the phone inside the jacket of the fiance Suburban? He didn't even look for the phone. And also that is true. And Miss Parker had brought that to my attention as well. Shout out to Miss Parker and her riders. That's true. Lisa says, Shank, how could the sister see her from 4 to 6? They was worried at home by 4 and she changed clothes. I believe that was her delivery or miscarriage day. Good point, Lisa. King is a monster too. He was there for the domestic abuse. He beat the heck out of his child's mother while she was pregnant. That's facts. That's facts, Charlotte. Nubian says, I believe King is a part of the problem, like the rest of them that act like they didn't notice anything happened but knew. Facts. That's facts, Nubian. King sat around just like most of them and allowed it, watched it. King sat around and allowed Jarvis to have them little girls up at that shop working. We can start there. We can start right there. You could try to come forward and say, I ain't know what that man was doing, Shank. You know how it is. You ain't new to this, Shank. You know how it is. We mind our business. And for me, he would have a legitimate excuse because I'm like that to a degree. What you got going on is what you got going on to a degree. But when I see you moving foul, that's when your business becomes my business if you are around me. So for you, King, I'm with you when you say Shank. You know how it is. We mind our business. And that's true. However, when people around us is moving foul, then their business become our business. Per everybody phone, I think his time was done. That's it. I don't know, but I don't think King had anything to do with NAZIYAH's unaliving. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong, because if he did know what Jarvis was doing, then he's just as bad. Exactly. Mika says it was said King was late on his ankle monitor that day. Correct. Yes, because King and Jarvis worked together. So how King didn't know or suspect Jarvis messing with children? I'm going to take one more comment and then we're going to move on. I'll come back. Right. Your business is your business until it involves children. Then it should be everyone's business. Exactly. Once again, if you would like to help me reach my goal for today, my goal is 15 super stickers and super chats. We are 9 super stickers and super chats away from me reaching my goal. If you would like to grab a super sticker or a super chat, click on the $ symbol. Let's get back to King.
All right. And at that time, were you presented with a jail call?
Yes.
Okay. And who was that jail call with?
Jarvis.
Okay. And who was he talking to?
Me.
All right. And what was the topic of that jail call?
He called to ask would I receive a cell phone out of a truck for him.
And were you familiar with what truck he was asking you to get it from?
Yes.
What truck was that?
It was a Z71 Chevy Suburban.
And did you know who that truck belonged to?
Yeah, it's baby mom or somebody he was dealing with.
And do you recall listening to that jail call?
Yeah, I recall.
Okay. If I, I would move to admit the jail call from, I believe it's February 8th, 2024, between Mr. Wright and Mr. Jarvis Bugs.
Any objection?
No objection.
What's the exhibit number on that?
Sorry, that's exhibit number 1.
We'll get ready as if it's exhibit 1.
Thank you, Judge. And may I publish?
Yes, I mean, co-hosts.
Thank you, Judge. And for the record, I am playing people's exhibit 1.
That's it.
This is a one-time free 3-minute call from an inmate at Woody County Jail. Your phone is not set to collect calls. This call has been provided by Helmet as a courtesy for friends and family. You cannot receive additional calls from this inmate until you fill prepaid calls. We can take your credit or debit card information over the phone and connect you immediately back to your calls. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept all communications from this. Thank you for using Helmet.
My guy, what's up, man?
Not shit, man. What's happening?
Not shit, man. How you feeling? My bad, I missed your call. I was working like a motherfucker.
I figured they said you.
Now, the first thing that I noticed is King says, "What's up, my guy?" Now, I could be reaching, and if I'm reaching, you all let me know. So, Jarvis is locked up, right? Because I might be reaching. Let me let it play some more, just to be safe. Let me let it run some more.
What's that, bang? Say something, bang.
Yeah, you know it.
What's up, my nigga? What's that, Tim? What's up, boy?
You know it.
Hey, shit. Man, I'm calling, man. You bitch, they put my money on my fucking books, bro.
Oh, yeah, take a minute for them to put that shit on there. Even if you walk in with it, man, they be playing it crazy.
Yeah,
I swear to God. They just have a machine and shit. You show you straight, you need some. I mean, I'm not going to come out to that thing.
Yeah, I have money on my books, nigga. I came in with money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they put this shit on my hookup. I was up on the tab. I didn't come up $0. That's some bullshit.
That shit crazy.
Yeah.
How is it, though?
Man, that's some bullshit. I'm really gonna be quarantined on this whole shit, bro.
Oh, yeah, they got you on that quarantine club for how long? 3 days?
I don't know how long, nigga. Shit, I'm about to be the only one in this bitch on my.
And let me slide in for those, because I was even wondering at one time, for everyone that's what was worried, why was Jarvis wearing that mask? Jarvis had that mask on because of COVID. He was on the quarantine floor, and that's why Jarvis had that mask on. Nubian says they sound like Betsy's to me. He was happy to hear from him. I can see the smile through the phone. That's facts. Appreciate that super sticker, suspicious mushy. Appreciate that. So that's why Jarvis had that mask on, because he was tested for COVID. And for everybody that just pulled up, here is the picture of that red Jaguar car that Jarvis and King was fixing. That's a picture of the Jaguar car. All right, but let's tap back into Jarvis and King's jail conversation.
My part.
You say what happened?
I said, shit, I'm about to be there. Remember me and being young enough and this motherfucker doing these boys on this bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
What you need?
Huh?
No, I was asking something with that customer meeting. Man, listen. You straight?
Yeah.
Huh?
So yeah, I'm good. Oh shit, yeah. You got Tasha number, right?
Yeah.
So then I need you to call her one thing and get that truck up there, nigga. Get my phone out there back seat, bro.
Oh, man. All right. I'm going to get the truck up there. What will tell her?
Tell her you gotta you fuck around and lost a car that there too when we was moving the radio on the seat. Now
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
reach behind that back seat.
Where? Yeah.
So you reach behind that back seat, bro. The box right there. Straight behind the middle of that back seat, bro.
Okay, under it or in the back or in the back
In
thing?
the back, right in the back of the seat, bro.
Okay.
On the second row.
You know you took the key. You took the key to the gate.
It's the same key.
I don't have that key to it.
Yeah, you do. It's the same key to the lock at the door.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, it's the same key, bro.
Now, you know I got to. I'll put the money on the phone later, man. When I get around, maybe I will put the credit card.
I said, you get him on that. I told my wife and how to bring up the tea.
No, I don't need it though. You said the same one, I got it. So I don't need it right now anyway. Just when I get the scrap out of there.
Okay.
What are y'all thoughts on that phone call? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see what y'all talking about. What are y'all thoughts on that phone call? Nubian says, don't do Tupac like that now. Shauna says, anyways, he did 10 years in prison, and I asked him, because he was talking about Carmella and how gangs are looking to get him when he get there. I said, well, maybe they getting Jarvis bust. His response to me was, no, actually, I looked into it, and it's actually the opposite. I don't know why he's sick, disgusting. You know what is protected, but he is. Salute, Darlene. What are y'all thoughts on this jail conversation before I get into it? They can't wait to get a hold of Steven Stearns. What's the difference between Steven Stearns, Jarvis Butts? Salute, Jacqueline. BB says, all right, here is about to be the telltale to me. Do we know if NAZIYAH was on the news as missing when this phone call was made? That's why I said, let me hold back, BB. I said, let me hold back, because if King knew of NAZIYAH's disappearance, and he did, right? Because NAZIYAH had been already missing before Jarvis was locked up, right? But the question is, how much did King know? That's why I said, let me wait, BB. Because if King knew that Jarvis was a suspect, if the missing reports and everything was up, but if King knew Jarvis was a suspect and you hollering about my ninja and you hollering about, oh, I got you. I got you. I'm going to do whatever. Don't worry about that. It's suspect. It's suspect. But that's why I wanted to hold up, BB. Candy says, talking in code, shaking my head. Listen, one of my brothers and a couple of my uncles has been locked up, and they used to call my grandma's house talking in codes all day. That's facts, Candy. That's facts. He was saying, yeah, Ninja, you better help because you was involved for real, for real. What do y'all think? And those coded messages, could that have been what was going on in those coded messages? Tawana, I think that's an excellent observation. Mushy says, something not right with King, my opinion only. King could be undercover pedo, undercover police to go to dark side. Think about it. Jarvis turned himself in July the 2nd. King arrested 1302, undercover arrested to report in. That's a good point. I see you, Lady Libra. All of them guys at the shop knows about it. Seven Stones is the one who took Maddie's life. Facts. Cordell didn't even try to look for that phone. He didn't want to get caught up with tampering with evidence. That's another thing that's a fact, Antoinette. BB says, right, here would be the problem. King knew the last time he saw her was the 9th. So if it came out that she went missing the 9th, his red flags should have went up. Facts. That's facts. Especially because allegedly he told the sister NAZIYAH was there. Facts. Definitely codes because my ex-husband friends always had codes my husband couldn't understand.
And Mr. Wright, were you successful in getting that cell phone from the vehicle like Mr. Butt asked you to?
She came up there, but no, I wasn't successful. It wasn't there.
Wasn't there? Okay.
When we say she, who you referring to?
Tasha.
So Tasha came up, right?
In other news, North Carolina residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any.
Now, Tasha came up, but King wasn't successful. Was it because he never even bothered to look? Or was it because he did look and he didn't find it? Drop a 3. Drop a 3 if you think King never even bothered to look for that phone. Drop a 4 if you think he looked for the phone, but he didn't find it.
Who's talking that you know of?
His baby mom.
Okay. Did you look for it in the vehicle?
Yeah, I looked for it.
Okay. And you were unsuccessful at finding it?
Yes.
Now, according to him, he looked for it, but he was unsuccessfully at finding it.
And Mr. I want to talk to you now about the second time that you were speaking with Detroit police. Was it he heard that it was just a couple days after your first time?
It was not long, a few weeks maybe. I was off tether at that point, I believe.
Okay. And do you recall talking about fixing a red Jaguar and going to Ypsilanti?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about how many times did you and Mr. Butts go to Ypsilanti?
I believe it was either 2 or 3.
All right. And how did that come about? Whose red Jaguar is this?
My son's grandma.
Your son's grandma.
So she called, said she was having some problems with it and asked if we would come look at it, which is not unusual. We do house calls depending on the person and where it's located, but this is my son's grandma, so of course we're gonna make the exception. She called and said she was having problems with the car, asked if we would come look at it. We went, assessed the car at her house the first time. I think we made a minor repair there, not to the extent that it was the problem that she was having after the fact.
Okay. So, where is this red Jaguar located when you guys go out to see it?
It's in my son's grandma's driveway in Ypsilanti, off Michigan Avenue, I believe.
All right. And who goes with you out there that first time?
Jarvis.
Okay. It's just you and Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys go out there and you assess, make a minor repair.
Yeah.
Does it completely fix the car? For
that problem, yes.
Okay. And then is there another time that you end up having to do work on this red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
She drove the Jaguar for a while. It was doing fine. And then she said it was leaking something. I asked her what it was leaking. She said she didn't know. I asked her if she could get it towed to the shop. She said, yeah.
Okay. So at some point, this red Jaguar gets towed to your shop at 9000 Connor?
Yes.
Okay. And who works on it at 9000 Connor?
Me and Jarvis.
Okay. And what do you do when you finish fixing? Do you ever finish fixing the red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do when you finish fixing it?
We take it back to her. I called her first and asked her how she was planning on retrieving the vehicle. She said she was going to tow it, and I didn't want to cost her no more money, so I told her that we could bring it.
Okay. And do you recall if that was on or about January 9th of 2024?
So correct me if I'm wrong. They fixed the Jaguar. He calls grandma, his son's grandma. How you gonna get the Jaguar? So wouldn't it have been cheaper if she would have caught an Uber to get the Jaguar that they fixed? She did have a daughter and other family member. Wouldn't it have been cheaper to catch an Uber to get the ride, catch the bus to get the ride, or get a relative to get the ride to get it? Why would her first thought would come to mind, I get it towed back? See, here's the thing, right? And this is why I need everybody's help. Because when they answer questions halfway. Not, and you'll be listening and you'll be like, and I'll show y'all, I'll get to what I'm talking about. But okay, back to Shannon. Remember the demonstration that I've done with Shannon? And they asked Shannon about Jarvis. Would Jarvis hurt NAZIYAH? And Shannon answered, no, but I ain't no telling what he would do if his back is against the wall. Do y'all understand where I'm coming from? Now, I ain't no Perry Mason. I ain't no Matlock or Angela from Murder, She Wrote. But why are King, Miss Annette, and Shannon, why are they deliberately trying to confuse everybody? Let me backtrack to make sure I heard what I think I heard. Now, did he answer the question as far as trying deliberately to throw her off? This making me think premeditated thoughts, and King wanted someone to see this little girl. Maybe he was trying to set him up to be caught on some get back-ish. He had already hurt her when he stole her innocent. Yeah, they speak in riddles, never directly. Let's backtrack. Because it would make, now maybe he was answering the question of her saying, how did the grandmother get the car to the shop to be repaired? But when he came back and said, he said, that's all right, we'll bring the car to you. Well, wouldn't it have made sense for the grandmother to just come straight out and say, hey, King, is there any way that you could get the car to me, because I don't have transportation over there to get it. I don't want to pay the tow truck any more money. I done already paid the tow truck to take it to you. Maybe it's me, y'all. Salute, Gigi. And that's why I always ask for the replay gang in the chat to help me out. The thumbnail is crazy. All eyes on King. It's all eyes on King. You know, we went over the transcripts. Thanks to Miss Parker. We went down the rabbit hole. Tootie kicked off the rabbit hole by bringing up Frank. We went over a lot of things. So the latest thing in this case is King being released. So it's definitely all eyes on King, creating alibis. New here, I came from Toot Channel, but I believe off of the video Miss Parker put out, Shannon did it, and Annette, and Marquita, and Annette, No Jarvis, helping moving the body. Shout out to Toot. Shout out to Toot. Toot does an excellent job. Shout out to Miss Parker. Appreciate you for pulling up Life with Jay. Make sure everybody give Life with Jay a warm welcome. Okay, Blue Devil says facts. I think he was trying to establish an alibi. We know now he was late the night in question. When Cordell says radiator, do y'all think it's code for NAZIYAH? Excellent observation, Nisi. Excellent observation. Now, this and this is what I always wondered, y'all. I always wondered is Annette, Shannon, King, and them, are they sitting back laughing at us? You know, I'm quick to call them a bunch of funky asses, but is they laughing at us and calling us a bunch of funky asses because we are so far away from the truth? What is y'all opinion on this? Are we reaching? Do y'all think that Shank and the other content creators and all of the subscribers, do y'all think we reaching and we don't have a clue of what's going on? Life with Jay says, I think they get nervous. Carla threw up a LOL. Lisa says, y'all did a good job, all of y'all. I'm just curious. You hit right, Shank, what kind of that even judge and judge clerk expression said it all. They want mistrial. Yes. Why would he need to move a radiator while in prison? They laughing now, but going to cry later. I hope that's the case, Miss Douglas, because I was going to show it, y'all, but I watched, and I'm sure, and if y'all haven't seen it, let me know, and I will show it. But I backtracked today, and I watched that video when the kids was getting ready for school in the morning. In that video when Miss Annette was cussing them out, and then she offered prayer, they prayed. I watched that video today, maybe like about an hour ago. And when I seen NAZIYAH, I seen how the other kids was getting fussed out, right? And I seen NAZIYAH standing, you know, and she had the other little girl's hands ready for prayer because, you know, that's what they will get ready to do. And when they asked, and that when they asked them about NAZIYAH, what type of child she was, when I asked Marquita what type of child she was, they all said that NAZIYAH was a good child, a good child. None of them, you know, said, well, you know, she was just like any other child, you know, but they all said that she was a good child. So why wasn't this child protected? I'm seriously, when I tell y'all, it almost brought tears to my eyes because I saw NAZIYAH and it was just like, she just looked so out of place. And you could tell that she tried so hard. She tried so hard to fit in. She tried so hard to get love. And in return, that's what she got. You know what I mean? Like, and then to go into prayer after cussing them babies out. You know what I mean? But I watched NAZIYAH, and she had a coat zipped all the way up. Like, the things that the other babies was getting fussed out for, NAZIYAH had everything in place. She was dressed. She had a coat zipping all the way up. She had on a hoodie. They never mentioned NAZIYAH as doing anything bad. I mean, she was, you know, at attention. She had those other little kids' hands waiting to pray. See, this is the stuff that really upsets me, because we've seen it so many times that the innocent always get the short end of the stick. You know, now I don't advocate for nobody to be harmed, but why do those funky asses, why they don't never get harmed? And I'm talking all the way around the Monopoly board. You know, why the good people always get the short end of the stick? Why did that baby get the short end of the stick? And if y'all can't see why myself, along with the other content creators and the subscribers, is still talking about it, man, even when Jarvis and them is convicted, we gonna still be talking about it, because it shouldn't have never happened to her. It shouldn't have never happened to her. Bear with me, because sometimes I do get emotional. Sometimes I do get in my feelings, you know, because when you see, you know what I mean? And like I said, for King, yo, you were supposed to shut Jarvis shit down immediately. It's some things that I will mind my business. I always say, it's some things I will mind my business with. It's some things I laugh, joke. It's some things I let slide. But this shit right here that was done to NAZIYAH, I would never. Some things I would say, I ain't getting involved. Some things I would say, I ain't going to prison behind this shit right here. But this with NAZIYAH, hers, it really would bring out that side of me. You know what I mean? That would, this shit, I ain't asking questions. I don't want to hear nothing. Y'all did this to her?
On.
On that day?
Yes.
Okay. So on that day, before you take the red Jaguars back, who was tell me about how that day started for you.
I woke up. I typically leave the house at 6 because that's what time I could leave. So I went to the gym. I got to the shop probably around 8:30. I don't know who opened the shop. I can't really recall which one of us opened it, but Jarvis may have been there already. A few cars came in, then the Jaguar probably got there maybe around 9 o'clock. I assessed the Jaguar. Jarvis left for a moment. I had another mechanic, being it's a foreign car, so I had a foreign car mechanic on call to help with the work, but he was busy, so he came. Said he wouldn't have time to do it, so I think I Googled it, seen how it was done, and I proceeded taking the water pump off.
Okay. So you're working on the Jaguar, and is Mr. Buck at work that day?
Yes, he was there.
Okay. What do you guys being you and Mr. Butts, do as it relates to work on that night?
I think we had a few cars that came in that needed some minor repairs. Between that and the Jaguar, we was jumping in and out of the Jaguar job, and the cars that pulled up, maybe oil change, tune up, whatever, et cetera, so forth was. But we was mainly working on the Jaguar, trying to get the water pump off, as it is a hard job to do.
And do you always have all of your parts on stock or on your person in stock with you?
No, we call either AutoZone, Mansfield, one of the auto stores that has them.
Okay. And did you have to go get any auto parts on January 9th?
Yes, we had to go get the water pump for the Jaguar, as well as some other parts, I believe, for other cars.
Okay. And when you go and get parts, is it usually just one of you, both of you, or something else?
That depends. If it's a car there.
Have you ever run a background check on yourself? Whoa, that's so crazy. What else is on here?
Then one of us will stay. If it's not a car there, we go together sometime.
Okay. And on January 9th of 2024, did one of you guys go to the auto parts store, or did you both go?
We both went.
Both went? Okay. Tell me what happens when you go to the auto parts store.
Before that, I called them. They ordered the water pump, so we went and picked it up when they called and said it was in. We got in the truck, went to AutoZone, got the water pump. On our way back from AutoZone, I believe we forgot something, so we ended up turning back around, going back to AutoZone, grabbed whatever we forgot, came back, and on our way back, we was coming down Harper. Jarvis said, "I see my niece right there. She walking." We pulled into Angel's liquor store. I still didn't see her. He pointed across my face, said she right there. She was coming across the street at that time. She got in the truck with us. She spoke. Hi, King. Hi, Jay. And we proceeded back to the shop.
Okay. So when you guys are driving to these auto parts stores.
And once again, like I said, you know, he said when she got in, she said, "Hey, King," because she knew you. She knew y'all. You knew who she was. So when you said that, oh, Jarvis said, "There go my niece," why wouldn't he just say, "There go NAZIYAH"? Stop with the theatrics. Like you getting up, looking, and you don't see Jarvis sitting right in front of you.
Who's driving?
Jarvis,
Okay, and where are you at?
passenger seat.
Okay. And you said when you guys are heading back to the shop the second time, that's when you said Jarvis spots someone?
Yes.
Who does he say that he spots?
His niece.
His niece, okay. And do you recognize his niece?
Yes, when I see her, when he pointed her out to me, yes, I recognize her walking across the street.
Okay.
My niece. Why not? There go NAZIYAH. Come on, y'all. I do got the supervision conditions of King's release. Give me a minute to upload it. I do got some information on King's supervision conditions.
And so you guys pull over. Where does she get into the car at?
I believe she getting behind me. So the back seat behind me.
Okay. Does Jarvis say anything to her?
Yeah, she speaks to both of us and we speak back.
Okay. What does he say to her?
Hi.
Hi. And where do you guys go after you pick up his niece?
Back to the shop.
Okay, and that's at 9,000 Connors?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you guys do when you get back to 9,000 Connors?
He back in. We get out. We proceed to working on the Jaguar. I may have got out the car first with the parts, and he was in the car with her for a second. I got out, started working on the Jaguar.
And what happens next? What do you guys do?
I believe she get out, get into the front seat, reposition herself to the front seat of his truck. It was colder that day. I believe she started the truck. We started working on the Jaguar, putting the parts back on. It took a little minute. Like I said, it was a difficult job, so it took a while. At some point, I believe his truck ran out of gas, so we had to stop what we were doing to push his truck to the gas pump so he could get some gas.
All right, so Here's King's paperwork. All right. As you all could see, the offense. Now, this is what King was allegedly, I gotta say allegedly, this is what King was allegedly locked up for. All right. Offense: domestic violence and or knowingly assaulting pregnant individual. And this was a third offense. All right. He pleaded guilty. Now, the supervision conditions: he got a contact agent no later than first business day after release, must not change residence, complete sub-abuse or re-entry program as referred by agent, must not leave state, treatment program, mental health or other approved by the agent, not engage in any behavior that constitutes a violation, written consent to search parolee's person or property. So as you all could see, King's get down is no different to me, really, than Jarvis. He's an abuser. He's a womanizer. So that is King's supervision conditions.
So you said that she gets out of the car that you guys were in?
Yes.
Okay. And then she gets into Jarvis's truck.
No. We was always in Jarvis' truck.
Okay.
So she gets out the back seat and repositions herself to the front seat, so she can start the cover.
And tell me, what kind of car or what kind of truck Jarvis drives?
Escalade.
And what color?
It's pearl white.
Okay. What, if you can see, what is his niece doing while you guys are working on the shop, at the shop?
I believe she's on her cell phone, I believe.
So according to King, he believes that she was on the cell phone. Of course, remember before Shannon and them said that she didn't have a cell phone. Ms. Annette said she didn't have a cell phone. Can somebody riddle me this? Can somebody please tell me whose cell phone was NAZIYAH on?
Does Jarvis ever take his niece anywhere that while you guys are working at the shop?
No.
No. Okay. Did you ask him if he was going to take her home at all?
I believe I asked him was he gonna drop her off when the truck ran out of gas. We had to push it to the pump. It was just a distraction from work, so I asked was he gonna drop her off. He said no.
And did you finish working on the Jaguar that day?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens after you finish up on the Jaguar?
I called my son grandma and asked her how she was gonna retrieve the vehicle. She said she was gonna tow it back. I told her she didn't have to do that. I was just spending extra money. So
Right. I thought I heard what I thought I heard. So he, at the finishing, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, y'all help me out with this, on the replay gang as well. After they repaired the Jaguar, he calls the son grandmother. How are you going to retrieve the vehicle? She says, I get it towed back. It would have just been cheaper because what the tow trucks run, $75, $85. A Uber would have been what? $20, $25, $30 if that. Why not just our Uber over there? Or why not just catch a ride? I'm just saying. So don't really know what to take from King, but let's get back, y'all.
Mine asked her how she was going to retrieve the vehicle. She said she was going to tow it back. I told her she didn't have to do that. That was just spending extra money. So I asked Jarvis, was it all right if we dropped it off? He said yes. And we started making preparations to do so.
Do you recall about what time you guys finished the Jaguar and prepared to leave?
Probably around 7:30ish, somewhere around there.
When do you guys eventually leave the shop?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about who all leaves the shop?
Me, Jarvis, and his niece.
Okay. And tell me about the driving arrangements.
So I drove.
We all deserve to be protected. It's why we will always say yes to you. If you're 45 to 85.
My 300.
Okay, let me take this comment. Hip Hop says an Uber from Ypsilanti to the east side of Detroit would have been about $90 to $110 easily. So I guess it would have been cheaper to get it towed. Okay, my bad. Appreciate that, Hip Hop and History. Let's get back to King. And that's why I always have to ask, could I be wrong? You know, because I don't like putting out misinformation. So appreciate that, Hip Hop and History. Let's come back, y'all.
Tell me about the driving arrangements.
So I drove my 300 and Jarvis drove the Jaguar.
And where was his niece at?
Well, let me backtrack again. Master Khalik says from the east side to Ypsi, a tow truck would have been a few hundred. Okay, so then I was right. Appreciate that, Master Khalik. I was right.
She was with him in the front seat of the Jaguar.
Now, are you able to recall what his niece looked like that day?
Yes. Faintly, but yes.
Do you remember what kind of clothing she was wearing?
I remember she had her jacket on. Like I said, a coat. It was cold, so I think it was colorful.
Colorful?
Yeah.
I believe somebody else testified that she had on a colorful jacket as well. So where did the black hoodie come from that the prosecution entered as exhibit? I can't remember the letter, but where did that black hooded jacket or sweater come from?
May I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Wright, I'm approaching the People's Proposed Exhibit 2. And I'm going to direct you to the top left corner. Can you tell me, is there anything that you recognize in that?
The jacket in Channel 1.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the jacket that you've seen his niece, Jarvis's niece, wearing that day?
Yes.
Okay. And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
Any objection? Okay. So do we admit as People's Exhibit 2?
Thank you. And
Let me come to the chat real quick because I see some interesting comments. I see you, Deuce. Salute, Deuce. Deuce says maybe underneath the jacket. Shannon and them planted clothes that was worn while they unalived the baby. The kids that wear the uniform to school here sometimes wear hoodies or uniform sweaters. She could have had it on under her coat. It was winter. They had planted that jacket to throw everything off so that it wouldn't come back to them. The hoodie would have been under the coat. It's cold as hell in Detroit in January. We dress in layers for sure. I believe they packed that just to match that last picture that they were posting. Everyone knew that was an old pic. Appreciate them comments, y'all. All the comments made sense.
I'm going to show you your man, Coach. And I'm showing you its Market Fields Pros Exhibit 3. Do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes.
Thanks. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of Jarvis's niece as you remember seeing her back on January 9th, 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the same niece that went with you to Ypsilanti?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you're on move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 3?
No objection. Okay, it'll be a minute as people in exhibit 3.
Thanks. So, you guys are driving to Ypsilanti. You said you're driving in your 300, and Jarvis is driving the Jaguar with his niece.
Yes.
Okay. About how long does it take you guys to get to Ypsilanti?
It was raining that day, so about 35 minutes.
And when you get to Ypsilanti, what do you do?
Did you know that with your VA home loan benefit that the down payment requirement is 0? Did you know that VA loan?
Get out. We park the car. Get out. We go in. My son's grandma and I believe his auntie was there as well, so they greeted us. They spoken to him before, so they greet him. And then my son, grandma asked who the little girl was.
And did you introduce the little girl?
No.
Okay. Who introduced the little girl?
Jarvis did.
And what did Jarvis introduce her as?
His niece.
And about how long do you guys stay in Ypsilanti?
Not long, maybe 15 minutes or so. My son, auntie had to go get the rest of our money that my son, grandma didn't have, so she went to the ATM.
What do you guys do when you went to the ATM?
Talking.
Okay.
Talking. She was just telling us about other work she needed to do around her house, et cetera, so on and so forth.
Okay. And was Mr. Bucks with you the whole time?
Yes.
So you guys eventually leave Ypsilanti.
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the driving arrangements coming or leaving Ypsilanti.
At this point, we only have one vehicle, which is mine. We get in, drive in the front. I believe NAZIYAH sat behind me.
Sat behind you?
Yes.
Okay. So, and is there any kind of talking or conversation when you guys are driving?
No, I got sounds in my car, so no.
And do you recall about what time you guys, I guess, where do you guys go when you leave Ypsilanti?
Back to 9,000 Connor.
Okay. And do you recall about what time you guys get back to 9,000 Connor?
Probably around 8:45. I was cutting it close from the tether.
What do you do when you get
Which
back
I
to
always
9,000
felt
Connor?
strange.
Opened up the shop door where he left his truck in one of the bays, so we opened up that bay door, went through the gas station because that's the way we entered the shop. Went through the gas station, opened the shop, opened one of the bay doors. I went to the back and started splitting the money that we had made for the day, and separating the receipts, etc.
Where do you see his niece go?
Get in this truck.
Do you recall where at this truck she got into?
Passengers.
Is the front passenger, back passenger, or something else?
Front passenger.
And where's Mr. Buck at?
Back in the back with me, separate the cast.
And when you leave, do you lock up the shop?
No, I left first.
You left first. Okay. So when you leave, who's still at the shop?
Jarvis and his niece.
Do you see them leave the shop at all?
No.
And have you seen, Jarvis's niece, the one that was with you on the 9th? Have you seen her since January 9th, 2024?
No.
Now I want to talk about the day after that you guys went to FC, so January 10th. Do you recall if Mr. Bucks was at work that day?
I don't think he was.
What makes you think that he wasn't?
I believe he called me like 3 times, 4 times. No reason for him to call me if he was standing right next to me.
Good catch, PJ. King's son auntie said she took the money to Jarvis. King said auntie went to the ATM to get the money. Somebody make it make sense. Who's lying, King or the son auntie? Make it make sense, King.
No response.
Judge, I don't think he's speculating, so he must put in police.
If he's saying that they didn't call for a certain reason, just no speculation.
Can you ask the question? Re-ask the question.
Yes. So you said that you don't believe he was at work because he would call you, or he called you so often?
He called me. We had a 30-minute conversation on one account, and then we had another conversation about 15 minutes. So,
Okay. So that makes you believe in your mind that he was actually on the ceiling.
What's the question first?
It's asking, based on those conversations, in his mind to him, that means that Mr. Bucks was not at the shop with him. I don't think that's leading. It's stating a conclusion.
He said he already stated that he wasn't at the shop. We didn't believe him. So I'll overrule.
Thank you. You can.
one more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So based on the length of those phone calls and the times of them, did that make you believe that Mr. Bucks was not the shop?
Right.
Did Jarvis Bucks ever mention to you about his niece being missing?
No.
Have you talked to Mr. Bucks aside from that jail call that we played?
Let's chop it up, y'all. And then we're going to get out of here. Let's chop it up. Half an hour conversation talking about what? Now, according to King, Jarvis never told him about NAZIYAH being missing. I ain't buying that. She spent damn near from 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, up until 9. She spent at least 5 hours with y'all. Jarvis never said, yo, guess what? My niece missing. It makes you wonder if King wasn't involved. Did he ever ask Jarvis, why do he have this little girl hanging around like that? Real men don't play that, and he was on papers. That's all I'm saying, Serena. If you wasn't involved, you sure didn't act concerned. All of them lying. The aunt said they shouldn't. The aunt said that she couldn't remember what she had on. Facts. Moose says, exactly. What was that call about? Exactly. What was the call about? Salute, Nika. I ain't buying it, King. I ain't buying it. I know men. Like I said, I know men. And it's certain things that we will let slide. It's certain things that we will not stick our noses in. But when it comes to these babies, these kids, we're going to have the most to say. Exactly, because that's weird. Why wouldn't he tell him? They spent all their time together. The conversation should have popped up. 5 hours with a 13-year-old and you don't ask questions because he was used to it. Everybody telling lies to cover their own asses. He was saying the ninja told me, but I wasn't there. You won't need to tell him she's missing. He knew what happened. Facts. Facts. He ain't had to tell you because you already knew.
Since turning himself in.
No.
And do you know someone, do you know any of Jarvis's siblings?
Yes.
And which sibling do you know?
I met his brother and I met his sister.
Okay. You talked to his sister. Well, start that. Do you remember would his sister ever come to the shop?
Sporadically.
Sporadically. Okay. And are there times that you talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. And
the sister said she cashed at the money to Jarvis' account. So someone is lying. Facts.
and you talked to her about Jarvis's niece being missing.
After the police questioned me, I believe she came up there and we spoke about it, yes.
How can you go from a Christian grinding 50 to 60 hours a week in a career just hoping that you could save enough?
And I am going to end on this note, y'all. Nika says, Miss Parker hurt my heart last night when she said this case is deeper than we know, and it's going to break our hearts once we find out all the information. And it really is going to break everyone's heart when y'all find out what happened to NAZIYAH Hers. Remember, Kenya even said, you know what? I don't even, want to know. And it's deep. So I do have to say to everyone that's in this NAZIYAH Hers sector, I do have to say to the subscribers, for us content creators, it gets rough. It gets very emotional. So if a content creator is not your cup of tea, that's okay. That's okay. You are entitled to go to whatever platform you choose to go to. But I've seen it done to me. I've seen it done to all of the content creators. I've seen, and that's why I made the demonstration about the funky ass subscribers. I've seen all of the content creators in this sector. I've seen us all under attack. So as subscribers, please respect every content creator. Please. If that content creator is not your cup of tea, that's fine. It's okay to disagree with us as content creators. It is. It's okay to disagree with Shank Rock. It's okay to disagree with all of the content creators, but let's just be respectful. That's all I would say to everybody. Let's keep in mind that that content creator that you disagree with, let's keep in mind that that content creator that you dislike, they are helping to keep NAZIYAH's name alive. So if it's one thing that I ask from all subscribers, let's just be respectful, okay? When you visit platforms, especially the platforms of the content creators that you disagree with and you dislike, still be respectful in their chat. Still be respectful on the replay game. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, family members failed NAZIYAH Harris, not any of the content creators. None of us. None of us. We only report. We only take the information that we get. That's it. Sometimes the information that we get, sometimes it may not be accurate. But as content creators, we're just doing our best. Because like I said, unless you're a content creator, you don't know. You just don't know. Trust me. You just don't know what us content creators go through. You know, so shout out to all content creators. There's Miss Parker. Shout out to Miss Parker and her riders. Shout out to all content creators and their platform. But let us give respect to all content creators. Once again, if you don't like the content creator, that's fine. And another thing, stop trying to play content creator against content creator. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that. If a content creator is going to have an issue with another content creator, let that content creator have an issue with that content creator. Let that content creator, you know what I mean? Because as I said before, it's justice for NAZIYAH Harris. And unless you a content creator that's raising awareness and keeping her name alive, you shouldn't have an issue with none of the content creators. Like I said, it's okay to disagree. It's okay. But it's a difference between disagreeing and being disrespectful. And me being a man, I wouldn't be the man that I am if I didn't stand up for the content creators. I stand up, I advocate for victims. I stand and I advocate for content creators. We got to respect all of the content creators. All right. Salute everybody. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I will leave the chat running. Look, for those that are celebrating the 4th of July, and for those that are traveling, make sure y'all be careful out on these roads. Also, for those that are having firework parties, please be careful. And the most important thing, let us all protect our children. And our children, your children, don't have to be the biological children of yours. Protect all children. Because NAZIYAH Harris was failed. All right. Salute everybody. I'll leave the chat running. And y'all can hang around. And I'll see y'all on the next demonstration. Salute everybody.
Mr. Wright, I'd asked you earlier about if you've seen Mr. Butts in the courtroom. So that you couldn't see him.
Yes.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
And I'm showing you People's Proposed Exhibit 9. Can you tell me if you recognize that photo?
Yes.
And who is it in that photo?
Jarvis.
Okay. Next, Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. Now I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 9.
Exhibit 9.
Thank you. You're right. I kind of want to direct your attention back to people's proposed exhibit 3, people's exhibit 3, I'm sorry. Can you see it from here where I'm holding it?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know who this person in this photo is now?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you know her as now?
NAZIYAH.
And the next time that you see Jarvis Butts after January 9th, 2024, do you see any injuries on him?
No, I don't believe I've seen it.
Really quick, Judge. Okay, Ross. Thank you. Good morning, Trey.
Good morning.
You said that, I believe, in your testimony that you have known Mr. Butts since about 2018, is that right?
That's correct.
The number one food for regular BMs, huh? Okay, let's see.
Fastest way to clear out stuck poop is by.
Okay. You said you met at Frank's, the shop that you looked at.
That's correct.
And you said you guys worked together at Frank's for about 2 years.
That's correct.
And so that means in about 2020, you opened up the shop on Connor. Is that-
No, in 2021, I went to prison.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't work together for that period of time.
And so you came back
I came back and we went back to the same thing.
at Frank's.
Yes.
And what year was that?
That was 2023.
Okay. And so then how long after you came back were you, the two of you at Frank's together?
Maybe a few months to maybe like the middle of the year. So maybe around either June. It was before summer, so maybe around April. It was still a little cold outside.
Okay. So like early spring
Yeah.
of 2023 is when you said that you think that you opened up the shop at 9.
Yes, it could have been earlier than that, but yes, around about.
And so you became business partners?
I'd like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half and half. All right, good looking out. I'd like to place an order. Yeah. Hey, let me get a chicken box and a half and half. All right, good looking out.
A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. But before we get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright. Younger females like older men. So my smoothie is going to consist of switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes. When I'm switching lanes. A chicken box, a half and half when I'm switching lanes.